The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Wednesday, day 3 of ISRI's National Convention. I'm here and got the pleasure of having I don't know what to call you, my South African friends or my New Zealand friends, but I got Stu and Lisa Kagan. Welcome.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
we don't
John.
mind what you call us as long as you call us, John.
There you go. All right, I'm calling you. So I'm happy to have you guys. You know, it's funny. You started podcasting, and you started following me. I started following you. You know, a few comments. Next thing you know, we meet in Abu Dhabi. We didn't know each other, but we met. It's like, hello, old friend.
Yeah.
How good is that?
It felt like we knew each other, right?
But it did.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like we were friends for ages.
But I got a question for you. Why in Abu Dhabi didn't you bring your secret weapon?
Because I was keeping a secret. Absolutely.
It's out of the bag now, dude.
Now it's
And after
ISRI.
this podcast,
Yeah.
she's going to take over. You got that, right?
You know, you hit it on the head. She really is my secret weapon. So we let it out. We launched Lisa to the market.
You
in
unleashed the
ISRI.
beast, right?
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
That's great. Well, you guys got a fascinating story, okay? From South Africa.
Yeah.
You're now in New Zealand. So let's go back to South Africa. Stuart, you're from Cape Town, Johannesburg.
Yep,
Now, is it Johannesburg or Joburg?
Joburg.
Joburg.
Yeah.
All right. You guys somehow meet,
Yeah.
right? Now, you have been working in the recycled materials industry since 18 years of age?
18, straight out of school, yeah.
Straight out of high school.
Yeah.
And you? Where did you go? College?
Went to uni and then worked
What
in
uni?
University of Johannesburg.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
College.
can you speak English?
Oh, university, college. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
part of the world.
All right, so tell us about your journey in the recycled materials industry, because we've talked, since we've gotten to know each other. I think it's a
Sure.
great story. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Stuart, about where you came from?
Yeah, so I finished school, 18 years old, living in Johannesburg. My stepfather and family my stepfather just got a job in Durban. So I moved to Durban with the family as I finished school, and I needed a job. My family didn't come from a lot of money. So he was working as an accountant in a scrap metal company, and I got a job as a cutter. And I literally got straight onto the tools. We needed to earn some money. Also paid for some drinking on the weekends. I was playing a lot of rugby. And I started there, and at the time there was an amalgamation of the 12 biggest scrap metal companies in Southern Africa that all came together to become the Reclamation Group. So it was very good timing for me, because during that there's a lot of movement in management when that sort of
And how old
merger
were you
happened.
when they
I
joined?
was 18, literally as I joined a few months before
Okay.
there was a merger. So I started working at Reclam, but previously they had been all different names. And luckily for me, I'm the kind of guy that puts his hand up if there's an opportunity. And with managers moving all the time and different people moving, and because of the merger, I kept on progressing. And within, I think it was maybe 10 years, I was already moved to Johannesburg, or to Joburg, where the head office was, and I took over the global trading of the company as well.
So did you came out of ops to trading?
Yeah, so I did.
So
ops
that's a kind of a big leap.
absolutely.
How did they know you knew how to trade?
I think I drank a lot with the guys, and they really enjoyed spending time with me. So I enjoy
Lisa,
meeting
is that
people.
true? Do you enjoy spending time with this guy? I mean, come on.
Most days.
I've lost my edge. This is back in the day, John. So I kind of, I always loved talking to people and getting on with people. So I was in ops for, say, 6, 7, 8 years, and then I moved on to the buy side as a rep or a customer account manager. And then I started buying, and I did quite well. I was quite successful at that. And then Michael Movsas, who went on to be the president of Sims North America, he was my CEO at the time, and I got to know him really well. And he asked me to move to Joburg and join the trading team. Within 2 years, I ran the whole trading team for the company, and we have 85 yards there. 4,000.
How many tons is that?
How many tons? 1.5 to 2 million a year, metric
So
tons.
that's a significant. So you're trading minimum of 100,000 ton a month.
Yeah, about 140.
How much was that consumed in Africa versus exported out?
That was predominantly exported.
Predominant.
Yeah, probably 80 to 90% exported at the time.
Feeding what market? Out of curiosity.
You mean which areas,
Yeah.
geographies?
No,
So-
no. Out of Africa, what markets did you ship into?
We were going to predominantly India, Pakistan, bit of Bangladesh. All of our coppers, or majority of our coppers, went to South Korea. So I would go on an annual negotiation with the Korean buyers and negotiate what would work out to be about 60,000 metric tons per year of copper alone to sell into Korea. I would always go just after Michael Lyons.
Now, how old are you when you're
Sims.
doing this?
28, 29.
Did you like the travel?
I loved the travel at the time, absolutely.
So, from South Africa, and you start traveling. Tell me a story in a country the first time you got to that you went, wow, this is amazing, versus,
So, Korea is amazing.
Are you going to tell them about
I
Korean
I have not been to Korea.
Okay, so Seoul is incredible. I love going there. Stayed at this most incredible hotel, Sheila. It's got one of my favorite things is the hot and cold pools. So downstairs, when you have a hangover in the morning, to go there and have the ice baths and the heated pool, you feel 100% straight afterwards. Incredible restaurant. So I loved going to Korea. I used to do it a lot, and that's where all of our copper buyers were. So we'd go there quite a bit. I guess where did I go where I was probably a bit worried?
Home? So back to South
Home
Africa?
yeah, I mean, when you're coming from South Africa, nothing's really that scary. You know, you never land and you go, oh, I feel a bit nervous. When you go home, you get a bit of a shock when you get back to South Africa.
Okay, so a quick story for me. I'm 18 years old. I graduated high school. My dad who's from Italy, and he took me around the world. So we went LA, New York. Then New York, we went into the UK, then down to Italy, and I used to live in Rome, so, all right, everything's awesome, right? Yeah, UK's cool, New York, all right. Bombay, and then 5 nights in Calcutta.
Calcutta will get you, right? That traffic, how was that for you?
I'm 18 years old.
Wow.
From Central California.
Yeah.
What's poverty? What do you
Yeah.
mean there's 80 million people hanging on a bus riding around town?
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's 200 degrees with 500% humidity, and it's raining. It was the most eye-opening experience for an 18-year-old kid. But, obviously you look back. So these are the things. That's why I asked that question, because I had the, oh my God moment, but my dad always traded with the Indians with burlap bags. So in Bakersfield, he would house Mr. Agrawal, Mr. Bindle. They'd come to Bakersfield. They'd stay at our house. I knew them growing up, but I had no idea where they came from. Wow. That was one of my moments. That was crazy. So let's go back to your traveling. So
I would, represent the company, come to ISRIs, go to a lot of BIRs, and really just enjoyed.
So have we never met at a BIR before Abu Dhabi?
We never did. I think we owned some Sierra equipment actually at the Reclamation Group. You could probably go back through your files and find it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So, all right, so now you're 28. When do you two guys, you're
Just
the youngest.
then. Just
Did you
then.
guys get married at recess? I want to know.
We, you'll probably talk to it, but I invited her to my 30th birthday, and I had this massive crush on her for like 2 years.
I had no idea.
And she was not interested at all.
I don't blame her for that. I get it.
Oh, thanks, John. I started triathlons, and I'm not built for triathlons, trust me. I started triathlon just because she was doing the Ironman, and she was getting really super fit. So I was trying to impress her. We would go for runs in this group of friends, and we had mutual connections, and I literally chased her. She was super fit. I couldn't catch her up the hills.
That's a true story.
So he chased you until you caught him, correct?
Well, no, he chased me, and then, I don't know, 2 years later, we had gone to a movie the one night as friends. Actually, no, rewind. I actually invited him as a +1 to an event with me, and he said, am I going as your date, or am I just going as your friend? And I said, no, just as my friend. And he said, well, if you want a friend, get a fucking dog.
I didn't swear.
And you did.
I said, can I say fuck? Can I say that?
You might need to edit that out. I don't know how this works.
No, we're not editing anything.
So anyway, he didn't speak to me for a couple of months, and I really missed him because I was like, oh, I really like this guy.
But he made you laugh, right?
He made me laugh.
All right, so what are you doing? He's in the recycled materials industry, working his way up. He's traveling. What are you doing during this time?
So I was a management consultant at Deloitte, and I was helping
for Deloitte. Okay, all right.
I was helping big blue chip companies who weren't able to build new businesses, with emerging technology. We would help them build those businesses, commercialize those businesses, and, you know, put them out into the wild.
So was that mainly in South Africa, or did you travel as well?
I traveled a bit, but
Where did you
mostly
go?
South Africa. Where did I go? I guess around South Africa and Africa, not really global.
Okay.
It wasn't, I didn't tend to take the global jobs because the management consulting, you get moved around a lot. And
You didn't want to do that?
yeah, I'm quite a homebody. I like being with my family, with my pets, you know, so.
Right on. All right, so now you're married, you're still working in South Africa. You're in New Zealand now, folks. How did we get to New Zealand? And can you share the why?
Yeah, we are in New Zealand, and it's kind of, there comes a time when you live in South Africa, you have to make a decision. And it's usually, for us, it was when you have your first child. And it's, can you keep this child safe? Do you feel comfortable keeping the child safe and the future opportunities for the child or your child? Or do you stay because, you know, you're able to write your own bonuses, you earn a lot of money, and you're in a great position, you've worked your way up in the company, let's say, for a very long time, whatever it might be, financial reasons. And we sat down one day, there was a couple of really bad stories in the news, something had happened to your aunt as well, and we would just go, she said to me, if something happened to us, would we move? As in something happened to our family? And I was like, absolutely. So the question was, well, why do we wait? Shouldn't we be proactive?
So, Lisa, you were the one who kind of saw it as danger, it's time to go.
Yeah, and for me, I'm actually to this day proudly South African. I love South Africa, beautiful country, the warmest, most loving, kind people, but it was terrifying as a new mum to have a kid there, and so that was a really tough decision for me, you know, to leave there, but I just felt we needed to.
So in 2018, a little story on my side, we went on a safari. And I went with George Adams and his family.
So
It was my family, and we ended up in Botswana, but we had to go through Joburg. And we arrived at night, and we went to this boutique hotel, super cool, fairly close to the hotel, and we're told no to the 20-year-old kids that were with us, no, you're not going into Joburg downtown, you're not going into the city. Okay, whatever. The next morning as we leave our hotel, it was a compound. You can't see it at night. The high walls, the electric fences on top, the barbed wire, and everything around it. I'm like, and I thought to myself, I go, I don't know how you could live under that.
It's pretty standard. I mean, our house had that, and we had an armed guard outside our house 24 hours a day who was there to guard us.
But the problem is you have to leave your house at some point, and, you know, you're just not safe.
So when you asked about what was my feeling like when I went to other countries, it was coming home that you get the surprise, right?
Okay, you know, that's actually really interesting to me. Okay, so wait a minute. What year is this you're thinking of moving to New Zealand?
2015?
Yeah.
2015, all right. Now you got to make this. Who do you know in New Zealand?
No one.
And we'd never been there.
And
So
we'd never
what?
visited.
You close your eyes to the dark?
Yeah. Well,
Hey, it's Auckland.
It was actually a little the opposite. So I
yeah,
said
my
to
weapon
Stuart,
doesn't throw darts and choose in that way.
yeah, I leave the jumping off cliffs to this guy. But I said to him, instead of picking a country and saying, hey, let's go to this country, let's talk about the kind of life we want to live. And then I found independent sort of measures of the things that were important to us. And we weighted them and ranked them.
Not
and at the
we.
top of, well, I did. And at the top of the spreadsheet.
Well, yeah, she sits in the front row,
Yeah,
Stuart. I got
was
it.
sitting at the back, exactly.
And at the top of the spreadsheet was New Zealand. So if those were the things.
What was 1, 2, and 3?
Was New Zealand, Canada, I don't remember 3, but
America
whatever
and
3
Australia.
was, 3 was trailing quite a bit behind 2, so there were really only 2 options. Yeah, and
Where did
so
America rank?
I don't think
I'm
it was.
really curious.
Yeah, it was definitely
Because-
not high up on the list, based on the life we were looking for.
I had the best opportunity actually in America.
You did, yeah.
Better than anywhere else. So my good friend is Michael Mofsas, who was the president of Sims North America.
Right.
He was the CEO of my company in South Africa who promoted me into my role as trader. He moved over to America. So when we were leaving, Michael was very positive and he, please come and choose the state. Where do you want to be? And we'd love to have you as a part of the group in North America. And obviously Lisa had her analysis going on. And one night she turns around to me and she says, everything is landing on New Zealand. And this is how you'll get to know me. I just said, I love rugby. Let's go to New
Well,
Zealand.
wait a minute. We're going to step back for a second. South Africa is a rugby, a world powerhouse.
Absolutely.
New Zealand, the Blacks. I mean,
Also.
it seems that's the World Cup final. Although England was in it this last time, right?
No, it was
Who won? Who was in the finals?
South Africa, New Zealand.
Okay, so England lost in the semis.
That's correct.
Okay. I kind of follow it just because I had a good friend who was really good and played it in America. But so you're like, all right, yeah. So
I'll
who
get
do you
on with
root
people.
for?
I root for the Springboks still, South Africa.
No. Okay, you still when it goes to the World Cup time, you're still rooting for your
absolutely.
South Africans.
And my kids are All Black supporters, so they support the New Zealand team, and I support the South African team. So the World Cup final was fun.
In fact, when South Africa won, my son literally cried. He was so sad. And of course, Stuart was like,
Hey.
we won.
Yeah.
My son was 20 years old. He was at the Super Bowl last year, and his Philadelphia Eagles lost in the last second. When I called him, he was
In
Crying.
tears.
Cut up.
so.
Yeah.
When you're that passionate about something, that's
Absolutely.
all right. So we got rugby. Lisa's analytical mind. New Zealand. Okay, we gotta make a living.
Yeah.
I know you probably saved up your money. You had one kid at the time too.
Yeah, one kid.
One kid. All right, walk me through this because this is an interesting transition. I mean, it takes courage to do this. Big courage. You're going from what you know. The job, did you get a job with Deloitte?
No, I didn't. I knew I was going to have to settle the family in, and I had helped build what's called the greenhouse at Deloitte, which is an innovation hub. And so there was a role going at the university building an innovation hub and makerspace at the University of Auckland. And I thought, well, that's really cool. I've got background in that, and it's quite unique. There's not heaps of people out there who have done that kind of thing. So I thought, work at the uni, it's very family oriented, not the kind of stress and travel of management consulting. And so, as the mum, with Stuart and my other child, so the two kids, I thought I'd have the headspace.
Thank God you don't have to change his diapers, right?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So did you go to work right away? Who got the job first?
Oh, so I landed on the Wednesday, and my first day at work was Friday. So
And I got held back in South Africa for an extra medical test for like cholesterol or whatever. So they held me back last minute. So she spent 6 weeks in a new country we had never visited with a under 1-year-old child, starting a new job immediately without a car. So she was taking public transport to get around. We had booked an Airbnb, which is kind of like on the wrong side, not the wrong side of the tracks, but the wrong side of where you would be compared to the kindergarten we had our child into. She was taking a bus from her apartment in the morning, about a 45-minute drive, dropping off the kid, 45-minute back to work, coming back to fetch a kid, and this is all while I was sitting in South Africa. She thinks I was having a lot of fun, but I promise I wasn't.
Right. What's that like?
what was that like?
Yeah, seriously, when you look back at that now,
Yeah.
what's that like? What year is this? 2015?
216 now.
2016, yeah.
What's that like?
So it was really tough. It was, but I just thought to myself, like hard choices, easy life. We made a hard choice, and now we've just got to follow through. And there were days where our phone stood, and I said, this is really hard. I'm exhausted. I don't know what's going on, like where to find things, even just like in the supermarket aisle,
How hard was the New Zealand accent in South Africa?
That was fine.
Was
Well,
it easy to
not for me.
understand? I
She
still have
struggled
trouble
with it.
understanding you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, we
struggle with accents actually, so
Yeah.
I
Okay,
have
that's
to
interesting.
pay a lot of attention, and I need to see their lips as well sometimes, even to this day. Yeah.
Okay, so you're back in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
You've got to be dying with your wife and daughter or son?
Son.
Son in a foreign land.
Yeah.
All right. Walk me through you getting out and what did you get into? How did you get back into our industry in New Zealand?
So I came over 6 weeks later, was able to arrange my visa and shot over there. Lisa was having a very hard time doing it all by herself, so I came in.
I think
and
you told me, if I'm not mistaken, this is verbatim, well, put on your big girl panties and put one foot in front of the other, darling.
It's kind of like, just before you judge me, right, unfairly, you're on the phone in Johannesburg and your wife is like, I've left the groceries on the corner of the street, true story, because the Uber won't let me in the car with my 1-year-old child because they doesn't have a car seat. It's raining. I have to walk however many miles home, and I've just done a grocery shop for the first time at the grocery store. I'm leaving all the things. I cannot do this. I don't know what. There's no way I can do it. So I said, put on your big girl panties, put your left foot in front of your right foot, and move forward. There was no other option. What else was I meant to say, John? What was that? Oh, I'm coming now. I couldn't go there to help.
Interestingly, it was quite
Did you
practical
give him a
advice.
hug when you saw him, or did you punch him? I want to know.
You
What
don't wanna
did you
know.
do?
It was a
You don't
gut
wanna know.
punch. Yeah.
It was a gut punch. When I arrived, it was like all my fault. So I got to
It
New
is.
Zealand. It is. It's always
Okay, but
is.
go on.
So
All right,
I got to
come
New
on.
Zealand.
We're
Yeah.
You're still in South Africa. You're going into Auckland.
Yeah. Get to Auckland.
No
gut
job.
punch. No job.
No
job.
interviews.
Luckily in a position that we don't need to rush into it. My plan is, I've been doing scrap now, metal recycling for, I think it was 18.
See, you're learning.
I'm learning. I'll get there. 18, 19 years. So my plan is to go into sports management because I'm going to have a break from metal recycling. So I'm like, I'm going to become the president of the All Blacks or the president of, because I'm pretty ambitious in that way. Like, I'm not just going to get into management. I'm going to run the country's rugby, like, eventually. So I kind of like look around and like paddleboarding, which I wasn't good at, like stand-up paddleboarding a few days, doing CrossFit because I used to do that a lot, doing CrossFit in the ladies' classes because at 10 a.m. I got nothing else to do. So I joined the mom's CrossFit class. Like, this is what I was doing all day. Lisa would come home, she's like, why haven't you done the washing? I'm like, you know how busy I was? I CrossFit at 10 with the moms. Then they wanted to go for coffee.
Acai
and then like
bowls.
acai bowls. And that really happened.
And it was Janice's birthday. We missed
Exactly,
it
like,
2
it
weeks
was.
ago.
You had to throw axes.
And
You
then
got into
sometimes
throwing
with a couple of the
axes,
guys, we
yeah.
went like axe throwing things in the day. Like, we were busy, right?
You learned axe throwing so she wouldn't learn axe throwing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you'd be done.
It was
I'll be done.
self-defense. It
I'll
was
be done.
self-defense. Yeah.
So kind of, Sims are the biggest in New Zealand,
Right.
substantially. I spoke to John Glide. What happened was the general manager of
I saw
New
John
Zealand-
Glide here.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
reading
I
the other day. So the general manager unfortunately had cancer. I think it was the 4th time he was having his 4th operation in New Zealand. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years later. So he was having that. And I knew the guys at Sims. I knew their trading office quite well because we did a lot of work together. Went to the BIRs and always would have drinks together. So they had notified, or John knew that I was living in New Zealand. So I got hired on the Friday to come there as kind of like to bring them some depth while he was having another operation. Got hired on a Friday to start on Monday. I don't recommend anybody does that. Not for yourself, but you probably want to give the team some notice that there's a new guy coming in to like be involved in the management team. Started on the Monday. And then after about 3 or 4 months, Angus, who was a fantastic guy, came back, and I was sitting around, and I'm not somebody to sit around. I had run 85 yards, but like hands-on with 4,200 people, and now I was kind of like a reserve, and I was helping like the transport division a little bit, and like wherever I could get my hands
So
in.
they just threw you. They knew they could. Your experience gave you the inroad.
Yes.
How long did it take for them to realize you knew what you were doing and that you're just not going to be?
Probably took for me to leave for them to realize, to be honest. Remember, they're based in Australia. I'm in New Zealand. There is no, I was at the top management, so there's nobody else I'm reporting to. There's Australian head office, and then I decided exactly after a year. So it was on the same day I was hired. I just said, you know, it's been great. I wasn't going to move to Australia. There were opportunities maybe in Australia. We had chosen New Zealand, as you heard. So we decided to, I decided that I would leave and look for another opportunity. And, you know, I kind of saw that the metal recycling industry wasn't necessarily serviced well enough in New Zealand. The margins were really big, and I guess the market wasn't incentivized enough, but the prices weren't high enough, trying to say it in the best way possible. So I decided that I thought there was a great opportunity to set up a metal recycling company to take on Sims in New Zealand. However, my lovely weapon on my right said, before you spending any of our money, I'm going to do a deep dive into the industry, which she had never done before.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Your analytic skills are now put to test to an industry you only knew of because you worked it, but now
Yeah.
you're diving into it.
Diving into it with a fresh.
How much time when you're doing this? Is it during the day? Is this a nighttime thing where you're staying up to 2 a.m.? Or is this, how's it go? Tell me about this. I want to learn, I want to hear this story.
So
And be honest,
I'm
'cause
thankfully
she's
have
very
low
humble.
sleep needs, so I can have 5 hours sleep a night and I'm good. So I'd work my day job and I'd come home at night and I would get to work on, you know, doing my research first, taking the research, drawing insights, and, you know, putting together what is the opportunity here, how big is it, what are the gaps, you know, what is our angle, And yeah, so it probably took me about 10 weeks to do that deep dive. And I came to him and I said, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. There's a huge opportunity here.
Okay, so Stuart's huge opportunity, but you're going to start it on your own now.
But John, this is what I say, she's not honest. She came to me with a 76-page business plan. It's a true story. I can show you it. Like, this is like, what are you doing all night? I'm just working on the market. I'm working out the industry. Can you answer the following questions? And like, I'm like, I don't know. I go to bed. And like, she's up all night for like 10 weeks or whatever. And then at the end, I just get this massive dunk on the desk. Like, here it is. Here's the opportunity. This is how we're going to do it. Here's the branding ideas. This is how we're going to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the market, which is how we really had a major impact with social media, and it's what gave us the idea of podcasts and things like that. But at that stage, it was like, this is what the market isn't doing, things that you've realized, like there's no real marketing, we're not going to the customers, and this is how we're going to do it. And I had a playbook, like it was phenomenal. And
So now you set out on your own.
Yeah. So
now, you still stayed with Deloitte at this time?
Yeah, so I was back at Deloitte now.
Yeah, you're back at Deloitte.
Yeah.
Stuart says, all right, I've got all these years of experience under my belt. You've done the research. You guys create your plan.
yeah.
Go.
So we find a really small, the plan is to prove the concept first, which is going to be a lot of customer focus, a lot of marketing, and
The
a lot
brand.
of the brand. We're going to see how much of a
What was
fresh,
the name of your...
Endless, like
Oh.
never ending.
Okay, yeah,
right?
got it, endless.
So in fact, the beast change was endless metals, and then we went into other waste and became endless.